Good morning. It is January the 2nd of 2026. And it's about 39 degrees here in my old Kentucky home, which is just sweatshirt weather. So I'm not going to dread getting out later when I'm going to go to the grocery. But I'm so glad to see all of you this morning, and I just have a few little things I want to talk to you about. Before I do the Today I Pray, I wrote these verses this morning. Now, usually I just write one verse for my script, for my verse writing, and then I write my chapter in a different book. But this morning I saw this in Mark 14, and I'm going to write it down in the description in case you want to read it again later for yourself. But I want to read it to you, and then I'm going to do the Today I Pray. It's Mark 14:35 through 37, and it says, "Watch ye therefore, for you know not when the master of the house cometh, at evening, or at midnight, or at the cock crowing, or in the morning, lest coming suddenly he find you sleeping. And what I say unto you, I say unto all, watch." And in those verses, if you'll notice the word watch. And I wonder how many times we think of that word. And at the very end in that verse 37, that last word that says, he says unto us, watch, that's with a capital letter, which to me means there's some emphasis on that word, how important that word is. And if you're a Christian and you know that we're looking for the day the Lord will come back, and nobody knows that time. And how many times down through the years do you remember of some person predicting the Lord is coming back this certain day, and so many people would get all upset by it, and I'm sure that they would really start praying and trying to live right, and then that day came, and it was just a usual day. So the Lord says very clearly in the Bible that nobody knows the day. No person here on this earth knows the day. So that's why we need to live our life in a way that we would be glad to see Him at any time. We shouldn't be doing things that we know that God does not approve of. So I was just this morning, I thought, what a good reminder right there in Mark 14. So today I'm praying to watch daily. Now, I'm not saying I'm going to be looking out the window or I'm going to just be on guard 24/7. I'm saying watch, prepare yourself, be mindful that He is coming back, and we need to be ready when that day comes, and I'm looking forward to it. Okay, in my little gratitude book, now I read January the 2nd this morning, but I want to read to you January the 1st, and look at this beautiful picture. Now up in Maine, up around Cynthia, they're having all this snow and ice, but here in Kentucky we don't have any right now, and I'm thankful for that. But this was my mom's favorite verse, and I cannot tell you the times that I've heard her say this. And then, even after she was gone, I've heard my dad say this so many times. I've heard Grandma Lois say it a lot of times, and I've even said it a lot myself. It's Psalms 118:24, which is, "This is the day which the Lord hath made. We will rejoice and be glad in it." And that shouldn't be just on Sunday when we're going to church. That should be every day of our life. We should rejoice and be glad in this day. And so the little reading says, "Wake up in the morning and be grateful for the new day ahead." Every 24 hours is an opportunity to live life more fully and love more deeply. Look at each moment and see the gift it brings. Cherish the present as it unfolds. Then, when you go to sleep at night, be thankful for the experiences God gave you. This is a life well lived. Isn't that a very thought-provoking reading this morning. I wanted to tell you that when it said to be grateful, even this morning, last night, to be grateful for the things that you've experienced during the day. Now, yesterday, and it was a nice sunny day. It was about 30-some degrees here, but a beautiful day. But I was just feeling kind of tired. Not just tired, just worn out. I have the craziest dreams, and they make no sense whatsoever. But whenever I have a dream, I'm always in a quandary about something. I'm somewhere I can't get out. Or so many of my dreams are of substitute teaching and getting to the school. Can't find the classroom. Maybe I'm not dressed. Maybe I've still got my pajamas on. Just something worrisome. And during the night, I don't sleep good whenever I'm dreaming those crazy dreams last night. And I do them a lot. I hardly ever have a happy dream. So, yesterday, I was just feeling a little bit droopy. And my best friend calls and says that her and her husband are going to go down and eat New Year's lunch at a little store. It's an old store that is years and years old, but is now a restaurant, and it's at the lower end of our county. And so many people love to go down there. My mom was raised in that area, and I've got a lot of family that were raised in that area, and maybe some of them still live there. And I said, I just don't think I feel like going. And she said, well, it'll make you feel better. And I said, I don't know, I'm feeling pretty draggy. I just didn't even want to get ready. But since we don't get to be together very often, and I love to be with her and her husband, I said, well, let me go ask my girl, because she thinks they hung the moon. Well, this was the funny part about that. My girl and some of her girlfriends spent the night at my other little house up in town, like on New Year's Eve night. And she had said she went to bed at 5:30 yesterday morning. And then she was home she came on home about 9:30, took a shower, and went straight to bed. Well, that was about the time my friend called. So I said, well, let me go ask her if she wants to go, because I knew if she wanted to go, I would go. And I went back there in the bedroom, and she was just so sleepy. And I told her that Auntie wanted us to go with them to eat. And she said, well, we'll have to go. It's just she's not going to miss a chance to be with Auntie. So she got up, and we both got ready, and we drove down there to meet them. Now, from where I live, it seems like 100 miles, because the road is very narrow and very crooked. And it's a beautiful area of the county. But I wouldn't live down there if you gave me the entire acreage. I mean, I do not like being out in the country. We were driving down through there, and I was just thinking to myself, who would want to live down here? Because there's not a little grocery store or anything for miles. And then she said, who in the world thought of building up a place like this? Who would want to live down here? But you know what? That's just my opinion and her opinion, because there's so many people live down there, and so many people like to be isolated, like to live out in the country like that with no one close to them. And it is a beautiful area, and I'm sure there's a lot of wildlife. But if you don't have any milk, and you know how I am about milk, you might as well forget it, because if it's night out, you're not going to get out and drive very far to get you a gallon of milk, and there's none to be found in I don't know how many miles around there. So that is not my cup of tea. But we drove on, and it was such a gorgeous day, and the sun just beaming in the car, it felt so good and warm. So we got down there, and when we went in, there was they still have, it looks like, the old doors and the old screen doors that was on this store many years ago. And in fact, Jesse James was known to have been in this area at one time, and he may held up the bank down there many moons ago. I'm glad to say that was before my lifetime. But some of the buildings have been torn down, but this was a flourishing community many years ago, and my mom was raised in like a little 2-room house just within walking distance of this store where we ate yesterday. So as we went in, they've got all kinds of old dishes and pictures, and we were looking at this old record player, and I thought, you know, my brother and me used to have one of those little record players where you could play 45s, you know, the ones that were probably about this big with one song on each side, and then it would play the big records, and we couldn't think what the size of them. Can you remember the size of those big albums? And down there they had an album of the Kentucky Headhunters. Now, if you're not from Kentucky, I wonder if you've ever heard of them. And they had long, stringy hair. Now, this was probably back in the 70s that these guys were singing and were a pretty popular group. They're still touring today because my little friend Joey's son does the sound system for them when they go sing different places. So here they had an album that was the Kentucky Headhunters, and then had the big record on display there. And so then we remembered it was 33 1/3 is the size. And then there was also another record that was a 78. I think it was a little bit bigger than the 45. But anyway, that was just interesting to look at. But just all kinds of beautiful things. Just, you could just look around in there forever. But they've got one section of the store set up with tables and chairs to feed. They have a little restaurant down there. And first off, that was working in there was the lady that owns it was one of my favorite students that I ever had. Now, I didn't get to see her because she was in the cooking area and they were really busy. But her mom was there, who was about the same age as I am, and we worked in the school system together, so I was so glad to see her. She was looking spiffy and spunk and just bringing people in and seating them in the restaurant. One of the waitresses was one of the ladies that I subbed a lot at the middle school, and she was a teacher there, and she has just retired, I think she said the end of November. And she's got a great personality, and I mean, just, you know, very good with the customers, which I think that's so important, to have a smile and to make conversation with people that are coming in. Then there was a young lady that's the same age as my girl, who I've known since she was a little bitty girl, and just sweet as could be. And so we sat down, and there was probably in the area we were setting 5 or 6 tables, and all of them were full. And their special for the day was hog jowl. We call it hog jowl, like J-A-W, but it's jowl, G-O-W-L, which is just bacon with a lot of fat on it, which is very good. But this is the meal you're supposed to have to bring in good luck for you for the new year. So we had jowl bacon, we'll call it, and greens, and black-eyed peas. You got to have black-eyed peas, cooked cabbage, and cornbread. And I'm telling you, that cornbread was beautiful. And you know, I can't taste, but it was so satisfying. But I had asked my husband before we went down there, I said, is there anything that you think you could eat? Because I knew they would have some home cooking, and I said they'd probably have, you know, the black-eyed peas are the big thing for the new year. And he said he thought he could eat some cooked cabbage if they had it. So I took him my cooked cabbage and a piece of cornbread. He ate every bite of it. I mean, they have really got good cooking. And then they had a big chocolate cake for dessert. But do you know when it came time to order dessert, they said, I'm sorry, we just sold the last piece, which we didn't need it anyway, but we would have eaten it. But when we got in there, and of course, you know, I love seeing people, especially a one-on-one. I'm not that thrilled to get up in front of a group of people and talk, but I love talking one-on-one. And you know, since I've always worked out in the public, and then my best friend's husband, he's been in politics, been a judge executive for years, but he's retired now. But he's kind of like me, except I think he's worse than I am. He loves getting up, and he was up talking to people. Just, you'd have thought he was running for office for something. Well, then I saw, or he said to me, he said, isn't that this certain lady that I hadn't seen for years? And I looked up at this table, and there she was. And she was a kindergarten teacher at one of the elementary schools that I used to work at some, and also have subbed for her. And I hadn't seen her for years, her and her daughter and her son-in-law. So I got up and got to talk to them and just had the best time. And then I took my girl up there and introduced them, because she hadn't seen her since she was about 2 years old. And so we just had the best time, just me talking to her. And then my sister-in-law, my brother's wife, was there with a couple of her girlfriends, and I got to get a hug off her and have a little chit chat. Then later, after we ate, there was one of my cousins and his wife that I never, ever, ever see. And then just different people, and 2 different people said, I watch your YouTube channel. And any time that somebody says that, I'll always look at my girl and laugh, because, you know, she's, oh, God, you were so embarrassing. You were so embarrassing. And I'll look at her and say, you better watch out. You better be good to me. And so we just got such a thrill. We just had the best time, and my spirits were uplifted to the top that we had such a good time. So I am so thankful that I had that beautiful day yesterday to get out and enjoy seeing people. Even got to see this guy that's running for sheriff next May. I had never seen him, never met him. He gave us a little talk about how he deserved that, and so who knows? He may get it. I'm not sure. But I'm just thankful for that day. That was just a glimmer, 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 one after another, one after another. And then to come home and my husband to eat all that cabbage, I was glad to see that too. And he said it was good. I had made a little cherry dessert the other day with mashed up pretzel crust with butter and a little sugar in it. And then I put cream cheese with powdered sugar, mixed that up and put it on top of the pretzel layer, and then poured the cherry pie filling on top of it. So he ate a pretty good bunch of that for dessert. So I think he was a winner in that situation too. But we had a great day. And let's see, you know, I'm always watching these YouTube videos. Have you noticed that so many YouTube videos are about why you're not getting views on your videos, what you need to do to make more money, your hook, your title, this, that, and the other? Well, when I first started doing videos, I was soaking all those in that I could possibly soak, because I wanted to make my channel the best that I could make it. Which, you know, I'm not professional. I don't do fancy titles. I don't do hooks to try to hook somebody in the first line that I start in, unless you think today is such and such, such and such. That's not a very good, I don't think that would hook a fish. But I want you to just watch my videos, because you know it's me, and you know I'm going to just be telling you some big tale of some kind. But I finally decided I'm not going to try to listen to them because I'm not going to do any fancy editing. I'm not going to be adding any music to my videos while I'm talking. It's just Max and me just here in the country, just living life day by day and just sharing with you some little points of wisdom, I hope, and encouragement. So if you will notice though, when you are looking at YouTube videos, that I would say the majority of them are people trying to tell you how to do your videos in a fancier way. And that may be good, but you know, I'm not ever expecting to have 1 million subs. So we're just going to kind of keep on like we're doing and hope you will enjoy it. But we do hope that more will join and get something out of it. But yesterday I was looking at some videos, and I watched this one. The name of the channel is In the Kitchen with Tally Faye. Now some of you all probably know her. She's got a good personality, very cheerful, and this was fun to watch. And when I was watching this video, she was making Krusty Kraut casserole. Now, does everybody know what kraut is? Kraut, if there's one person out there that doesn't know, I will tell you, because we used to make it back in the day whenever I was into the canning and freezing and all that. But kraut, we call it sauerkraut. K-R-A-U-T, kraut, is made out of cabbage, and you would bring the cabbage in from the garden, wash it, chop it up real fine, cram it down in a jar, and put salt and water, put the jar lid on there, and then you would have to can it. But I think before you did that, of course it's been many, many moons since I've done that, you have to let that cabbage sour. And I know some people used to put it in these big crocks and leave it for days, just like out in the kitchen or whatever, probably covered up, and let it sour, and then they canned it. And you've probably had sauerkraut and wieners, because you would take sauerkraut and cut hot dogs up in it and cook that, which would have been a cheap meal many years ago. And I think at one time I really liked sauerkraut. But throughout the years, and the older I get, I've had a little stomach problem that I can't eat cabbage. And I would be a little bit afraid to eat sauerkraut. But when Tally Faye, I think that's her name, was making this Krusty Kraut casserole last night, I thought, that looks good. I might make some of that. So I want to tell you what the recipe is. And if you think you'd want it, if you'd want to try it, you can either look on her channel, or if you'll tell me you would like to know what the recipe is, I'll put it in the comments. But it is 2 cans of sauerkraut, and you drain the juice off of it. And you spread it in a 9x13 pan. Then you take corned beef, which I'm not sure I like. But you take 2 cans of that. And one thing that I don't think I'd like is because it's in the same kind of can that Spam is. And I'm not a fan of Spam, because who knows what that's made out of? And who knows what corned beef is made out of? But it has a little twang to it. You take that out of the can and slice it up into slices and lay it on top of that sauerkraut. Then you mix up some Bisquick, milk, and mayonnaise. Now that's not very appealing to me. And you pour that over that, because it's kind of like a batter, because you make biscuits out of Bisquick, but this is more liquefied, I think. And then Oh wait, in the Bisquick and the milk and the mayonnaise, you also add eggs, and you beat that all up, and then you pour it over that. Now, I mean, I thought I was going to buy the stuff today to make this, but after sleeping on it, I kind of changed my mind. Then on top of that, you layer slices of Swiss cheese. And then at 400 degrees, you bake that for like 30 to 35 minutes. What do you think? Do you want to try the Krusty Kraut casserole? I think it might be good, but I don't think I'm going to try it. I'm going to ask my husband how that sounds to him. So anyway, when she got it out of the oven, she cut a big chunk out of that and had her husband taste it. He says it was really good. All I can say is he must have a strong stomach, because I just don't think I could eat that. But I think it sounds kind of good. What do you think? Krusty Kraut casserole. Hey, I've got to go to the grocery, and I am so excited. And then this afternoon, my girl and me are going to a birthday party at a little local place here that you can hop, skip, and jump. And I don't plan on doing any of the three. I just pray I can walk in there and sit down in a chair and get to spend some time with my family. But my little twin great nephews turned 5 yesterday. So we are celebrating. So there will be a lot of kids there hopping and skipping and jumping. And we'll probably have some birthday cake and have a good time just seeing all my family. And then I hope I can work in a nap somewhere between now and then. I've got this little funny I want to share with you. It's a wife and husband talking. And the wife says, if a tiger attacks your mother, if a tiger attacks your mother-in-law and your wife at the same time, who will you save? And the husband said, of course the tiger. Very few are left now. And the wife says, I am typing this from the ICU. You never know about these husbands. Hey, I've got a new book, The Borrowed Life of Frederick Fife by Anna Johnston. I haven't actually started it, but it was recommended by my friend Angela. She said it was really good, and I'm anxious to get started on that. And Pam in Canada, I was going to tell you, her husband Dylan said that one of his resolutions of the year was to lay down his phone more and read more books. So we're going to kind of keep up with Dylan and see if he keeps up on the end of his resolution. But I'm telling you, I've read 3 books in a little over a week, and I just enjoyed it so much. But you know, when I'm on the couch, it's just so hard for me to lay down that stupid iPad and pick up a book. It's so addicting, and we need to read more. And so, again, one of my favorite books is The Extraordinary Life of Sam Hale. If you've not read it, I highly recommend it. I'm looking forward to reading this one. I think it'll be good. And also those other 2, that Theo of Golden, great book. And then the Linus Women of Tehran, or whatever that one was. So I'm going to try to read more books. And I want to try to make some more bookmarks too. So with everything going on, we'll just see what happens. But I want to wish you a great day. Let's remember everybody on our prayer list. Oh, I did want to say one prayer list. Pamela has some real estate she's trying to sell. And listen, I know that can be such a headache. So let's pray that the right person will pop in there and give her a surprise that she never expected, and to sell that house and make everybody happy. the seller and the buyer. So I hope to see you on Monday. And my girl's got one more week of being home, and I'm going to just try to enjoy every minute of it. So I hope to see you on Monday. Bye-bye.